down to 40. Wednesday, mostly sunny, highs around 55. Thursday, sunny skies, highs 60 to 65. And Friday, late day showers, highs 65 to 70. Right now in Central Park, skies, they are clear. We are at 56 degrees. You don't need a job platform. You need a hiring partner. Indeed lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credit. 56 degrees in New York with the best ride in and out of the city. I'm Ed Kalegi, Bloomberg 1130, bringing you global news 24 hours a day.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at Bloomberg Quick Take. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Well, the major story in markets today was the meltdown in crypto assets. Crypto exchange Binance Holdings made a stunning move today to take over rival FTX.com. Now, Binance was saying the agreement came after FTX was hit by a significant liquidity crunch, and the firm then asked for help. Well, the news, needless to say, sent crypto-related assets tumbling. At one point today, Bitcoin was down 17%. Right now we're trading around 18,460. The selling that we had in crypto-related assets sparked a flight into havens. Precious metals surged today. U.S. Treasuries climbed in price. Yields tumbled. 10-year lost about 9 basis points to 412. At the shorter end of the curve, the 2-year was down 7 basis points to 465. And that, in turn, sent stocks higher, with the Dow today picking up about 1%. The S&P gaining about 0.6%. NASDAQ comp higher by about 0.5%. But that drop in yields weakened the dollar substantially. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index down 0.4%, and now the index is at its lowest level since September. The yen, on the other hand, rallied. We're at 145.30. We were down, or up, I should say, in New York, trading by around 0.6%. Crude oil, the other big story, we tumbled more than 3% in New York as China renewed commitments to strict anti-COVID policies. 88.91 at the end of the New York trade, and we're a little bit below that now. We'll take another look at markets in 15 minutes. Ed Baxter next with a look at global news headlines. Ed.
All right, thank you very much, Doug. U.S. midterms today. Polling projects the House going to Republican control. There are 6 toss-up states that will decide Senate control. In Arizona, already caused calls of election fraud, as some of the newer machines will not count the ballots. Officials there say problems have been fixed, though. Pennsylvania, Georgia turnout said to be very heavy. Races way too close to call. U.S. climate envoy John Kerry has delivered a rather stark message in the middle of COP27. He says if Republicans take over Congress, any agreements made now may not be met with money from the United States. Meanwhile, the conference as a whole is setting up comprehensive tracking systems to measure global emissions, much of the data and metrics set up by Bloomberg. Russia and Ukraine scheduling meetings on the coming weeks to talk about resuming inspections of atomic weapon sites under the New START treaty. And Russian forces have struck a village in the Zaporizhzhia region with S-300 missiles. In San Francisco, I'm Ed Baxter. This is Bloomberg. Irish.
All right. Thank you very much indeed for that. Let's get back to Thomas Tull, head of APAC iShares investment strategy at BlackRock. Thomas, looking at what happened today with FTX, did it surprise you?
Well, the answer is I don't really know, because to be completely honest, I don't cover crypto. And one of the reasons for that is that generally our bigger investors are not really that interested in it. What I'm kind of more looking at is whether there's any spillover to the rest of the market. It doesn't seem like it to me. So I don't think it's really that much of an interest for most of our investors here.
Well, what makes it interesting is that potential spillover that you mentioned, and it's kind of like when you go back to Bear Stearns when it was snapped up for a pittance, really, because basically, when people want their money and you don't have it, you're in a very difficult position. But as you say, the market held up pretty well today, nonetheless. But does it kind of scream out that more regulation is needed in that sphere?
Again, to be honest, I don't really know, because I don't cover crypto. Is the honest answer. So in terms of,
but I mean, surely you would be concerned if the dominoes start to fall, it can have an impact on what you do cover.
Yes, I mean, in terms of the spillover, for us, like most of our investors don't actually hold or look at crypto, so I do think it's more of a sort of a retail impact there in regards to investors trying to get their money out or whatever it is. I don't see that asset class as really large enough to cause, I mean, obviously you don't really know, but to cause a spillover into broader equities or fixed income.
Thomas, let's have a look then at what's been going on with the Hong Kong market, because it does seem as though we've got volume surging last week. We've got a southbound on the Connect system already at the moment, been seeing the inflows into Hong Kong since September. Has the Hong Kong market, which looked like a screaming buy with valuations, turned the corner in your view?
I would say yes, but I also thought that in March. So in terms of valuations, there is clearly the valuation story there for Hong Kong stocks, for China stocks as well. What I think has been happening over the last couple of weeks, particularly for the offshore China tech stocks, is more of a short covering situation rather than investors going long. I mean, we haven't had any particularly great news over the last couple of weeks, but it just seems like investors want to cover those shorts, particularly going into the end of the year. So the valuation story, yes, I think is definitely relevant, but I don't think this is long-term investors looking to get back into China at this point.
There's two big overhangs for investors here, I would think. One is China reopening at some point, getting past the COVID-0 policy, and the other, because Hong Kong is so rate sensitive, some sort of turn in the Fed. Which one happens first, and do we need both?
That is a very good question. I think if you look at the China reopening, that's what foreign investors are focused on. But we also need to remember that you're looking at the world's most populous country. That reopening, even when it is announced, is going to take a very long time to implement, right? So I think I think that will cause a short-term rally, but again, I don't think that's really going to be a case of longer-term investors moving back in just because we get an announcement on reopening. I think if you look at offshore China or Hong Kong stocks at the moment, it is more of a rate story, as you mentioned. So with rates, coming off a little bit, US dollar coming off a little bit, we're seeing that kind of risk sentiment coming back into the market. And it does seem to me like it is a little bit of a FOMO rally that's happening at the moment, because if you look at positioning throughout the year, it's become more and more defensive. And if you start to see a rally, if you're an investor going into year end, that's not a particularly great thing, right? Because you've already kind of underperformed the market, and now you need to start to chase some of these moves.
Very quickly, in 10 seconds, how much of a recession has been priced in?
I think it's around 75% at the moment.
Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. Thomas Toole, there, head of APAC iShares investment strategy at BlackRock, getting his take on the markets. And talking of which, certainly the moment seeing Bitcoin on the way down by 6.3% to 18,437 for 1 unit of those tokens. This is Bloomberg.
Bloomberg Daybreak Asia is brought to you by PPAC Private Wealth Management. PPAC Private Wealth Management knows that a portfolio is more than a collection of assets. It's a path to your future. Visit ppacprivate.com and begin your financial legacy today.
The news you need to start your market day on Bloomberg Daybreak.
This is Karen Moscow.
And I'm Nathan Hager. Join us tomorrow morning on Bloomberg Daybreak.
We will have reaction to the election results with Greg Valliere, the chief U.S. policy strategist at AGF Investments.
And we'll be tracking the market impact with Andrew Sheets of Morgan Stanley.
Bloomberg Daybreak, weekday mornings at 5 on Bloomberg 1130, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com.
Interactive Brokers clients earn interest of up to 2.58% on the idle cash in their brokerage accounts. That's just one of the many reasons clients use Interactive Brokers to trade stocks, options, futures, currencies, bonds, funds, crypto, and more. Visit ibkr.com/interest rates to learn more. That's ibkr.com/interest rates.
At CDW, we get the right network makes remote locations seem less remote.
Great, because my data is lagging out here.
CDW can orchestrate the Aruba Edge Services platform, bringing computing closer to where data is created. It automates, unifies, and secures the edge, fixing problems before they impact your business, giving your network a sixth sense. Someone at the door?
Just a moose. He works here.
Aruba and IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/Aruba.
Let's have a lot of people pedal those bikes. Interval. Burn! Burn! Come on, burn! Woo!
Performance is more exhilarating on a real road. Introducing the Audi Q5. With a 261 horsepower engine that'll take you 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds.
Don't let someone else drive off in the Audi model you've always wanted. Visit your tri-state area Audi dealer to get behind the wheel of yours today. Or visit AudiOffers.com for more information.
Together, we have the opportunity to build a more sustainable and inclusive future. At the Bloomberg New Economy Forum, we help make this possibility a reality by cultivating new connections among global leaders that transcend geographies, industries, and ideologies. Because when global leaders work together, the outcomes benefit all of us. Watch the forum live November 15th through the 17th at BloombergNewEconomy.com.
Since 1886, the Statue of Liberty has stood tall in the New York Harbor, a beacon of hope and a welcome to people from around the world. What inspired the French to gift the statue to the United States? How was the statue constructed, and who paid for it? Why can't the public climb to Lady Liberty's torch? And why is she green? You'll discover these answers and much more at the Statue of Liberty Museum on Liberty Island. Go to statueofliberty.org to plan your visit.
About Bloomberg traffic and weather, there was an accident on the southbound 8095 local lanes coming off the George Washington Bridge. It's at exit 70 for DeGraw Avenue. 2 lanes are blocked, and it's a 15-minute ride coming over Fairfax. Also in New Jersey, still an accident, 17 southbound Passaic Street in Rochelle Park, 1 lane blocked. That's a 15-minute delay. It's still a 15-minute delay northbound Route 1 in North Brunswick at Adams Lane. An accident moved to the shoulder. Holland Tunnel, 20 out, 10 in from 1 to 9. 20 minutes out over at the Lincoln Tunnel. Slow getting over the George Washington Bridge. Still, the ride trying to get up to the bridge is still a bit troublesome on the west side from about 86th Street all the way over. The Harlem River Drive has gotten better. It's slow there for the 140s and up to the bridge. In sports, tonight on the ice, the Islanders, they visit the Rangers. The Devils are home. They host Calgary. Bloomberg 11:30 3-day weather forecast. For tonight, clear skies, lows dip down to 40. Tomorrow, a mostly sunny day, highs reaching the middle 50s. Thursday, sunny, a tad milder, highs of 60 to 65. Friday, perhaps the remnants of whatever the cold would bring, late day showers, and a high of 65 to 70. Right now, clear, 58 degrees with the best ride. In and out of the city, I'm Ed Pileggi, Bloomberg 1130, bringing you global news 24 hours a day.
Broadcasting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130. To Washington, D.C., Bloomberg 99.1. To Boston, Bloomberg 106.1. To San